I rolled back into Willow Creek in early March, bone-tired from 6 months in Georgia, helping my brother piece himself back together after a nasty back surgery. All I wanted was the hum of my backyard, the soft splash of my fish pond, and my own bed, maybe a cold beer to top it off. But the second I pulled into my driveway, something felt off, like the whole place was holding its breath, waiting for a storm I hadn't seen coming. The street was two Quietno kids racing bikes, no sprinklers spitting across lawns, just this heavy, dry silence, like the air itself was parched. I stepped out of my truck and saw it. Every yard but mine was turning yellow, not summer crisp, but limp, like the life had been sucked out of it. My grass? Still green, thanks to my buddy Jake, who'd been watering it while I was gone. But the hose by my porch was caked in dust, untouched for weeks. Inside, the house smelled like old pine and neglect. I filled the glass from my kitchen tap, thank God it still worked, cold and clean from my private well, and took a long gulp, but that uneasy feeling stuck with me, like I'd walked into someone else's fight. Out back, near my shed, I spotted it, a cheap plastic sign zip-tied to my fence, screaming in bold letters. All exterior water use must comply with HOA conservation orders. Violations will be fined. At the bottom, in Sharpie, was a name, Linda Marshall, HOA president. Of course it was Linda. I'd known her for years, lived 6 houses down, always in those clacky heels, the kind of woman who'd report your dog for sneezing too loud. Before I left for Georgia, she'd been on a crusade to elevate Willow Creek, banning everything from tacky yard signs to porch lights that didn't match her vibe. Now it seemed she climbed the HOA throne while I was gone, and she was ruling like she owned the damn place. That evening, I ran into Jake at the mailbox. He looked worn, like he hadn't slept right in weeks. "Thanks for keeping my lawn alive," I said, trying to lighten the mood. He gave a half smile, but his eyes stayed heavy. "Yeah, well, things are different now, Mike. Linda's running a tight ship." I raised an eyebrow. "What's she done?" He glanced around, like he was checking for spies. "First, she killed the park fountains. Then she cut sprinkler days to 1 a week. Last month, she claimed the main water tank was busted and shut off the whole neighborhood supply. Been dry for 10 days now." I blinked. 10 days? How's that legal? Jake shrugged, voice low. "No one's stopping her. She's got her little posse handing out fines like candy. People are hauling water from Clearview just to flush toilets." He paused, then nodded toward my backyard. "Keep that well of yours quiet. If Linda finds out, she'll come for it." I nodded, gears already turning. My granddad's old well, dug decades before Willow Creek was even a subdivision, was my ace in the hole off the HOA's grid, tested and legal. I wasn't about to let Linda dictate what I did with it. The next morning, I was up before dawn, old Army habits kicking in. Coffee in hand, I watched the neighborhood from my kitchen window empty, lifeless, like a ghost town waiting for a breeze. At 8 a.m. sharp, Jake pulled up with 3 big jugs in his van, his kid Sophie in the front seat, half asleep but grinning when she saw me. I led them to the well, hidden behind my shed and some overgrown jasmine. I flipped open the cover, dropped the hose, and the pump hummed to life. Jake's eyes lit up like I'd just handed him gold. "Mike, this could save us," he whispered. "Not the whole street," I said, "but enough to keep folks sane." By noon, word had spread quietly, like a secret you don't say out loud. Neighbors trickled in, filling buckets, coolers, even old soda bottles. I told them the same thing. Take what you need, but don't advertise it. I wasn't looking for a fight, just didn't want kids going thirsty while Linda sipped iced tea on her perfect lawn. But Linda? She sniffed it out like a hound. That afternoon, an email blasted out from the Willow Creek HOA. Mandatory water crisis briefing. 6 p.m. Clubhouse. Unauthorized water use will face penalties. All caps, like she was yelling through the screen. I forwarded it to my old friend Carl, a retired city engineer who owed me one from way back. His reply was quick. She's full of it. HOAs can't control water without city permits. I'll dig into it. At the clubhouse, the air was thick with tension, folks standing stiff, arms crossed, like they were waiting for a bomb to drop. Linda strutted in, all business in her pressed blazer, holding a mic like she was hosting a TED Talk for 30 people. She flashed a photo of some rusty pipe on a projector. "This," she said, voice dripping with fake concern, "is why we've had to suspend water access. It's for your safety." I couldn't help myself. I raised my hand. "That's funny, Linda, because my well's been running fine, and it's older than that pipe." Her smile twitched. "Mr. Carter, private wells are not permitted under HOA Code 4.2. I stood up, calm but firm. "Wrong. Code 4.2 bans new wells without approval. Mine's been here since '59, predates your HOA by a mile. Show me the city permit that lets you shut off our water." The room stirred, whispers rippling. Linda's face went tight, but she waved it off. "This isn't a debate." Oh, but it was now. Things escalated fast. Notices started showing up taped to my mailbox, zip-tied to my fence. "Cease unauthorized water use," or face fines. No signature, just the HOA logo, like it was the law itself. I bagged every one, dated them, saved them. Evidence. I set up cameras around my house, not for thieves, for Linda's inspectors, who were now creeping around yards, snapping photos, issuing violations for everything from faded shutters to unapproved flower pots. I dug into the HOA bylaws, a mess of contradictions, and found gold. Section 5.1, exempting pre-existing private wells from HOA control. Linda didn't know, or didn't care. Either way, she was playing a losing game. Then she crossed a line. One night, I caught two figures skulking near my shed, one with a phone light aimed at my well's pipe. Shadow, my mutt, growled low, and they bolted when my flashlight hit them. The next day, I filed a trespassing report with the sheriff, sent Carl the footage, and got to work. I printed flyers. Water rights meeting. My porch. 6 p.m. Bring your HOA letters. Bring your guts. I slipped them under doors. No social media. Linda had eyes on that. By evening, a dozen neighbors showed up, some with kids, some with stacks of fines for nonsense like non-compliant mailbox height. Sarah, a single mom from Maple Lane, brought a folder thick with threats for her kid's swing set. I laid out my granddad's old property map, pointed to the well. "This isn't theirs," I said. "And if they can't control me, they can't control you either." You could feel itzamething clicking like a spark catching dry grass. Linda doubled down. A new notice hit my windshield. Unauthorized assembly. Cease or face security response. I laughed. Security response? She was unraveling fast. Then Carl called. "Mike, we got her. That fountain in her yard? It's hooked to the city's maintenance line, still running while everyone else is dry. No permits, no repairs filed. It's theft." I sent him photos Jake had snapped of Linda's green lawn, her gurgling fountain, time-stamped during the shutdown. Carl filed a formal complaint, and the city sent an inspector, a no-nonsense guy named Walter. He tested my well, nodded. "Cleaner than most city lines. You're golden." Then he saw the photos of Linda's setup. His jaw tightened. "This isn't a shutdown. It's a heist." He called it in. Fraud, utility tampering, endangerment. The city scheduled an emergency hearing. The hearing was electric. Room 3B at City Hall, packed with neighbors, all eyes on Linda and her shell-shock board. The commissioner, a sharp woman named Ellen Reed, didn't mince words. "Ms. Marshall, you diverted public water to your property while cutting off your residents. Explain." Linda stammered about emergency measures and HOA authority, but her words fell flat. I stood, binder in hand, voice steady. "I'm a retired staff sergeant. I've lived here 15 years, and I've never seen this place so scared. Linda turned our HOA into a weapon finds for curtains, for swing sets, for giving kids water when their taps ran dry. I dropped the binder on the table, heavy with proof, notices, videos, neighbor letters. The room went still when Carl showed Linda's fountain gushing while our yards died. At 10:47 a.m., Ellen slammed the gavel. The Willow Creek HOA is suspended. Linda Marshall is removed as president. All recent fines are void. Linda walked out, head high but hands shaking, her empire dust. The neighborhood exhaled. Lawns greened up, kids biked again, and we held our first open HOA meeting in the park, not some stuffy clubhouse. Sarah ran for president and won fair. No nonsense. A mom who knew what it meant to fight for her kids. Linda sold her house a month later, moved to some gated condo across the state. One day, I found a note in my mailbox, her handwriting, no stamp.